X.com team, I know you're looking for somebody who can really captivate an audience. And I knew it was going to be possible a few years ago to extend social media or extend government through social media in a specific set of partnerships. And when you're doing that, you're talking about how infrastructures evolve and are tied together in complex ways, because you're talking about specific channels for tax programs potentially, and different social medias with different specializations, potentially the key market that I think X could evolve into. And you could be strategic pivot if you wanted to. You could completely steer this. I have some brand strategy for you. I've created a logo. I believe it's possible you could create an economic wave possible with the potential of paying off a chunk of the national debt. And that will, by the way, draw in a huge audience for you to understand how the tools work, to give them opportunities to engage the chase for the pivot. You ultimately open up our government model if in the presentation I can give by creating jobs for teaching assistants and associate professors to help you create engaging, linkable content where you're dissecting an article, and you can create this dissection system. All kinds of tools for creating interactive documentaries of the future. I could go into elaborate detail how you build tools in partnership with Mastery.com, and how Mastery.com builds some interesting ways of accomplishing compliance training and different safety training. And so you watch a little bit of a video, and then there are some interactive questions. And you can make that very sophisticated, such that you can even imagine documentaries getting to the point where in the market they have different levels of documentary-based back and forth enhanced quiz content. And so you can watch a documentary many times and then turn on this enhanced quiz content, and it'll map to your skill web incrementally. You also want your education industries to map, but you can position the hybrid learning networks in partnership with the strategic pivot set of brand strategies. And I can go into a lot of detail how this skills web will ultimately allow you to build a patent alert system by working from specific learning maps into fundamental architectures and alerts that companies would be interested in based upon people's interaction with pivots in those strategies. And so you can build this platform that's all about strategically pivoting. And I came up with some unique engineering branding for this. Damascus steel was lost to history for a period of time. There's some art and craftsmanship lesson that was tied to that, as well as science is very complicated. There are times in history where we couldn't even understand what was enabling our own success because science is so complicated. And we're lucky to live in an age where we understand the things about chemistry such that we can figure out these things. And so it's interesting to think about something like Damascus steel, which was that lost to history because an ore dried up and we didn't understand enough about science, was a brilliant leader like Archimedes killed. Archimedes his writings he was killed and his writings were bleached, and it was found out that, or basically proven later on, that Archimedes was onto the basic idea of calculus, that is calculus, and he was working that out in his mathematical approaches. And we would have had calculus 1500 years sooner, which probably would have led to an easier or a deeper understanding of chemistry, because calculus is key in some of those equations. And so it's very possible that would have allowed us to understand more about chemistry sooner. Interesting to think of. And similar to Tesla, ties in engineering, trying to help people get to market. Strategically pivoting into these opportunities, you can recruit people through these patent alert systems. So I think Elon Musk would be very interested in a brand that has ties to Tesla, and this would fit in perfectly with Elon Musk's brand strategies. And it's all about opening up this funnel for government. And I want to get you guys really excited about the way this incremental web can work, because you can click on posts, and I don't have a great user interface for this yet. I imagine these being collapsible menus. I don't have all the Java skills to build that. I'm just trying to build a demo to talk about how you can merge social medias and build these different branching features, and I can go into elaborate detail with this in an interview. But you can create this brand that's all about strategically pivoting in the opportunities of the future. It drives industrial policy. You can imagine different learning content being marketed down here. Sorry that I have some repeated examples there. Looking to network as soon as possible. But you can market different learning content, and you can click on posts, and you can build a tool that always shows people where they're at in relationship to a bigger picture. And so you can allow them to chase after these things and get specific features in commenting forms that open up the funnel beyond just being a college degree for how you credit that somebody's got relevant understanding of an issue. You can have this engageable content system and open up levels of dissection by creating these interesting tools for allowing educators to create these interactive documentaries. And those will go so far as to have in streaming services levels that you can interact with of interactive documentary features that create interactive quizzes for documentaries and different levels of knowledge that are tied to an overall understanding of that. And so people can learn in different ways and prove relevant skill in different arenas by understanding the way a documentary relates to different skills and proving that they can understand more elaborate challenges relevant to understanding those subjects. And so it can be something that people do extracurricularly and they slowly grow their resume. And the goal is to work with the education markets and create a model through which they can be in charge of their own success. And there's a more efficient way they can come together to talk about architectures for hybrid learning systems and the way data flows between these systems to give students ways to engage with relevant topics today. And there's a way you can flow this from this relevant design and really specialize in this easy to approach extracurricular content like Mastery.com produces. And so that's a huge focus for the brand, is to create tools to create interactive documentaries like that. Again, it's going to open up to streaming services, different levels of interactive documentary that all map to a skills web. And you'll, in the education markets, as you're going through school in the future, once this is all perfected, that will map to general skill areas, and as you click on different posts, it'll pull into context your relevant skills and how those relate to the learning map that's brought into context. And once you have all of those things, you have this very elaborate tool for allowing businesses to engage their workforce with chasing after skills and market their strategies in the market as they relate to industrial policy decisions and promises that are being made to create jobs in different sectors. And so you can create this tool for even channeling and making the tax system more interactive and the budget more interactive with specific approval channels for funneling funding and potentially boosting retirement with interaction in the stock market to boost industrial policy and create jobs. You can make that all very interactive, and that will be an evolution of government. And here's a set of strategies through which social media can compete, and you can launch this space race level chase after the implementation of these technologies and this pivot overall with how all these ecosystems come together. And so you start talking about libraries and major market verticals and security needs by major market vertical determined by a cyber force. And all these things are funneling together, and you've got hybrid repositories tethered between many companies and a continuous improvement brand that talks about how they manage their infrastructure together. And there's even a strategy such that the businesses driving 80% or more total market share by major market vertical would be in charge. That's a model. That's part of what Strategic Pivot is. It's this model through which businesses can come together to manage complex major market verticals. And if we go after it in this way, it's an extension of government that puts the private sector in control, and we can go after a model that will allow us to pivot into the new technologies. So it's to every auto manufacturer's advantage, every insurance manufacturer or provider's advantage to come up with a way to tie automated driving systems together and create a rewarding model for companies to compete in that marketplace for being featured for contributions to an overall grid. Same thing in medical records. There are ways social media can expand into very unique digital diary products, and those will have interfaces somewhat like this for reflective journals and guided ecosystems that ultimately create 3D overviews based upon time or cognitive constructs, and they will be useful for clinicians to understand diagnoses in a deeper way. And I could talk about a lot of different strategies, a specific way of enabling an identity access grid that will be incredibly useful for Cyberforce, and it ultimately is a records identity verification and access network. But you want to verify the software. There are specific priority partitions and ways these security tags would funnel together into priority tables on an operating system that allow you to verify software has these security keys, these Cyberforce security keys, such that it's an authentic source. And so you need these structures anyway. You need the major market verticals to enable some of this structure. You might as well enable a model where the businesses can come together to shape a market. And in some cases, it makes sense to use this model and to have some profit sharing that can drive a pivot overall in the economy for enabling these transitions to these new technologies, this more interactive government model, renewables, all of these things. And so there's a way to make this very interactive government strategy. And that's what I would love to be a part of with X.com. Whichever direction you go, I believe these layers, the psychology layer, as well as this very unique brand strategy with Damascus Steel and strategically pivoting, exploring the pivots in pitch, bringing relevant learning into context through this skills mapping engine, working with the education industry to make that as robust of a transcript system as it can possibly be. Different color coding for different levels of coursework. Some of it's the introductory mastery.com interactive documentary content, which will be less prestigious, but there could be some modes that are very prestigious. All kinds of different things you can do with how this is mapped. But you got to position this space race level chase between the social medias to maximize the engagement with the audience. And then there will be this huge wave that will grow this platform tremendously quickly. And it will be the Occupy Mars pivot Elon Musk would love to see, with transitioning to renewables, with a more advanced, more interactive government, an app of everything ecosystem that you have opened up and hosted between companies in a way that allows you to recruit talent and drive skills engagement in the workforce. It's a phenomenal opportunity. I would love to be a brand strategist, come from a small business family in promotional products. I've thought a lot about brand strategy growing up. Zig Ziglar, I'm going to end with this quote: "The best way to get to where you want to be is by helping others get to where they want to be." This tool is all about that. I would love to be a brand strategist with X.com. Would love to impress Elon Musk with the ways you can gamify the learning process through this ecosystem. Would love it if you were interested in some of this brand strategy in terms of the logo and what that represents. Strategically pivoting, swords to plowshares, key lessons after World War II, Damascus Steel, texture. I could talk in elaborate detail how we could really champion key engineering pillars and pillars of teamwork in our society through this brand. It's a phenomenal opportunity. Would love to be involved. I dream of helping Elon Musk. Thank you for your time. I appreciate you.